There is a silence inside us that is not really empty. It is filled with feelings we rarely stop to notice. Long before we put words to them, emotions are already shaping the rhythm of our breath, the speed of our pulse, even the way our skin warms in the night. We think of emotions as loud things, joy bursting into laughter, fear breaking into screams, sadness flowing through tears. But most of the time, emotions live quietly, almost invisibly, guiding every choice, every glance, every step we take. Tonight, let's wander slowly through this quiet science of emotions, not with heavy theories or stiff explanations, but as if we are walking barefoot through a soft field at dusk, noticing, feeling, remembering. The science is here, of course, written in our nerves and cells, yet the poetry of it is even stronger. Each emotion is a tiny story happening inside your body, whispering at the edge of your awareness. Some bring peace, some carry storms, but all belong to you. And perhaps by listening closely to them tonight, you might discover something rare. The gentle wisdom hiding in your own heart. The hush of feelings before we name them. Emotions arrive before language. A child feels warmth or fear long before they know the word for it. The body trembles or softens or brightens, and only later does the mind attach a label: happiness, sadness, excitement. Scientists call this the pre-verbal stage of emotion, but in truth it never really ends. Even now, as adults, our feelings are born wordless. Think of the pause when you walk into a room and sense tension without anyone speaking. That prickling at the back of your neck, the sudden stiffness in your chest. That is your nervous system reading signals faster than your conscious thought. No dictionary is involved, only instinct. It is the hush before the story takes shape. But there's a strange beauty here, because in that gap, that small, wordless window, you are closer to the truth of the emotion itself. Words can sometimes distort, exaggerate, or shrink a feeling, but the raw sensation, the tightening of the gut, the flutter of the heart is pure. To notice it without rushing to name it is to stand at the doorway of your own emotional world. Artists often touch this space in their work. A painter might capture a mood you cannot explain, yet you feel it instantly. A song may stir something unnamed, leaving you with goosebumps and a soft ache. This is the same science in action. Emotions travel faster than meaning, straight into your senses. To honor that is to live with more presence, more humility. And so, when you feel something rise quietly in you, perhaps tonight, let it stay unnamed for a while. Notice the silence it carries, the hush, before it becomes a thought. Because in that stillness you might glimpse the deepest, most honest part of yourself. Why the body senses emotions before the mind does? Your body is a library of signals, always reading, always interpreting. Long before your mind decides, your stomach may churn, your palms may sweat, your heart may skip. This is not weakness. It is survival. The body keeps you alive by sensing danger or comfort before reason can catch up. Imagine meeting someone new. Before they speak, you feel a subtle comfort or discomfort. Science tells us the amygdala, a small almond-shaped part of the brain, scans faces in less than a blink. It doesn't wait for logic. It whispers its findings through your body, a softening in your shoulders or a tightening in your jaw. This is why emotions feel physical first. They surge through your vagus nerve, ripple through your skin, and only later reach your conscious awareness. That's why people say, "I just had a gut feeling." It isn't magic, it's biology, ancient and precise. Your body is the first listener of your emotional life. Consider fear. You may notice your breath quicken before you know why. This is your body preparing you, sending adrenaline before the mind even forms the thought of danger. It is almost as if your body holds a wisdom older than words, guiding you gently. If you are willing to hear it, And so when you feel uneasy or light-hearted without knowing why, pause. Trust that your body has already sensed something. The science of emotions is not locked in the brain alone. It is scattered through every cell, quietly protecting, gently guiding, long before your conscious mind tries to explain. The secret rhythm of the heartbeat when we're afraid. Fear is not just in the head, it plays like music through the chest. Your heartbeat, once steady, begins to pound with a rhythm that tells the body, prepare, survive, move. Scientists can measure this, the way the heart changes its beat within seconds of fear. Yet to us, it feels almost mystical. When we sense danger, the heart speeds to send blood to the muscles, priming us to run or fight. But it doesn't always mean terror. Sometimes it is a smaller fear, a stage performance, a difficult conversation, even waiting for news. The heart becomes a drummer, beating faster, louder, until the whole body listens. What is curious is how the heart responds not just to real threats, but imagined ones. Think of a nightmare. Nothing physical is chasing you, yet your heart races as if you were sprinting. The body cannot easily distinguish between thought and reality. This is the quiet trick of fear. It lives in both worlds at once. Yet fear is not always the enemy. Without it, we would not survive. The quickened heartbeat may feel uncomfortable, but it is also a guardian, making sure we are alert. Some even find beauty in that rhythm. The trembling before courage, the rush before a leap, the living proof that we are alive and sensitive. So next time you feel your chest pounding, don't only fight it, listen. Behind the rhythm of fear lies the reminder that your body is awake, that you are deeply connected to life's fragile edge. The science of fear is not about avoiding it, but learning to hear the music it plays through your heart. How breathing carries whispers of calm. Breathing is the oldest conversation between the body and emotion. When you are anxious, your breath grows shallow. When you are safe, it deepens. Scientists call it respiratory sinus arrhythmia, the way your breath and heart synchronize, but to you, it feels like something simpler. A sigh of relief, a steady inhale of peace. Think of how you exhale after finishing something difficult. That breath is not random. It's your body signaling completion, safety, calm. In meditation, in prayer, in moments of awe, we breathe slowly, letting oxygen flood the system. The nervous system listens carefully, softening muscles, slowing the heart. What's extraordinary is that breathing can be both automatic and chosen. Unlike the heartbeat, you can take control. A few slow breaths can shift you from panic to steadiness. This is why so many traditions use breath as a bridge: yoga, tai chi, chanting. All are different ways of telling the body you are safe. Sometimes emotions feel too large for words, but the breath is always near. It carries whispers of calm through your ribcage, like waves washing a restless shore. Even a single long exhale can change the entire moment, creating space where there was tension just a heartbeat ago. So tonight, as you rest, notice the rise and fall of your breath. It is more than air. It is the oldest lullaby your body knows, a steady reminder that calm is never far away, hidden in the simple rhythm of inhaling and letting go. The invisible weight of unspoken sadness. Sadness does not always arrive with tears. Often it hides quietly in the body, in the heaviness of shoulders, in the slowness of steps, in the sigh you did not mean to release. This is unspoken sadness, and it can feel heavier than anything we admit aloud. Scientists find that sadness slows our nervous system, reducing energy so the body can rest and reflect. Yet when unspoken, it lingers, pressing like a stone in the chest. You might notice food tastes duller, colors less bright, days longer. It is not imagination. It is the body carrying weight without words. Sometimes sadness is hidden out of politeness. You tell others you are fine, but your body betrays you. Posture slumping, breath shallow, eyes tired. This is because emotions insist on being felt, even if unspoken. They live in your muscles, in your tone, in the rhythm of your sleep. There is a quiet danger in never naming this sadness. Left alone, it hardens, becoming fatigue, illness, even isolation. But spoken, even gently, even in a journal or whispered into the night, it begins to soften. Expression is release, a lifting of the invisible burden the body has carried in silence. So if you feel a heaviness you cannot explain, know it is real. Know that it matters, and perhaps tonight, by simply noticing, you begin to let it breathe. Unspoken sadness does not have to remain unseen forever. Even the heaviest clouds eventually release their rain. Why joy feels lighter than air itself. Joy is one of the few emotions that seems to defy weight. When it comes, the body rises. Shoulders lift, steps feel easier. Even gravity seems kinder. Science finds that dopamine and endorphins flood the system during joy, relaxing muscles and quickening the eyes. But when you live it, joy feels almost like floating, as though air itself has thinned, giving you space to rise. Children remind us of this truth. Watch them run across a field laughing. Their bodies move differently, with less hesitation, as if their bones are hollow like birds. Laughter lifts the diaphragm, pumping more oxygen into the blood, releasing chemicals that ease tension. But beyond biology, there is a whisper. Joy carries us closer to the sky, if only for a moment. Curiously, joy can arrive without reason. A sudden sunrise, a shared glance, a favorite song on a quiet night. It interrupts the ordinary, and suddenly the air feels lighter. Scientists say the parasympathetic system is engaged, but to you, it simply feels like breathing for the first time in days. This is the body's gentle gift to remind you that heaviness is not forever. There's also a secret strength in joy. We often think of resilience as forged in pain, but studies show joyful people recover from illness faster, rebuild trust more easily, and even live longer. Joy softens, but it also fortifies. Like a helium balloon, it looks fragile, yet carries surprising power to rise against gravity itself. So when joy visits you, don't dismiss it as fleeting. Let yourself float with it. Breathe lighter, laugh longer. Joy may not erase the storms, but it teaches your body how to rise between them. To feel joy is to remember that you were never meant to carry weight all the time. The ancient survival code hidden inside fear. Fear is often seen as weakness, yet it is one of the most ancient forms of intelligence the body carries. Long before human language, before civilizations, fear was the quiet code that kept us alive. The jolt of adrenaline, the tightening of pupils, the spike in heart rate. These are not flaws, but instructions written into us by millions of years of survival. Consider how quickly fear reacts. A rustle in the dark, a shadow in the corner. And before you can think, your body is already prepared. Muscles tense, blood diverts, focus sharpens. Scientists call this the fight or flight response, but in truth, it is much more than a reaction. It is the wisdom of ancestors still breathing through your veins. Yet fear is not only about danger. It is also about learning boundaries. Children touch fire once and fear teaches them forever. Adults feel fear when love might be lost, when risks are taken, when dreams could fail. Fear doesn't only guard the body. It protects the heart. It whispers, "Be careful here." Whether we listen gently or harshly makes all the difference. And fear, though uncomfortable, often signals growth. Standing before a crowd, stepping into the unknown, confessing love. Fear surges not because we are in danger, but because we are alive at the edge of possibility. The ancient code has been repurposed, guiding us through modern choices, even when no predator hides in the dark. So the next time fear rushes in, try not to only resist. Hear it as an echo of survival, a guide disguised as trembling. The body remembers far more than the mind, and sometimes that memory is exactly what saves you. How the brain paints emotions as colors we cannot see. Science reveals that emotions light up the brain in patterns almost like paintings. Anger glows in the amygdala, love warms the insula, sadness dims activity in the prefrontal cortex. Yet when we feel them, we don't see brain scan. We see shades of the world changing. A cloudy sky feels heavier when we are sad. A room feels golden when we are in love. The brain paints reality with colors that don't exist outside our minds. This is called emotional perception. Neuroscientists find that emotions alter how we interpret light, sound, even smell. Food tastes dull when you're sad. Music feels sharper when you're joyful. It's as if each emotion is a filter laid over the senses, tinting the entire experience of life. Artists have always intuited this. Van Gogh painted sorrow as deep blues and swirling blacks. Musicians create chords that ache like loneliness. Poets describe joy as radiant or glowing. These are not exaggerations, they are reflections of how the brain itself paints emotions in invisible pigments. To feel is to live inside a changing canvas, one that shifts with every heartbeat. What's curious is how these colors can linger. Long after a sadness passes, the world can still look grey. Long after joy ends, a golden warmth seems to stay on your skin. The brain doesn't erase emotion quickly. It lets the paint dry slowly, blending into the layers beneath. And so, when you notice the world looking brighter or darker, know that it may not be the world at all. It may be the art inside your brain, quietly brushing colors you cannot see, but can always feel. The echo of childhood memories in grown-up feelings. Have you ever noticed how a single smell, fresh rain, baked bread, a certain perfume, can suddenly carry you back to childhood? Emotions are deeply tied to memory, especially early ones. The hippocampus and amygdala, the brain's memory, and emotion centers are woven together like threads in a single cloth. This is why childhood echoes so powerfully through our adult feelings. A child who felt safe in warmth may carry that comfort forever. A child who felt fear in silence may grow uneasy in quiet rooms decades later. These imprints are not weaknesses. They are the body's memory, stored so deeply they guide us without words. Every grown-up emotion has roots that stretch back to earlier soil. Consider the bittersweet tug of nostalgia, that gentle ache when you hear an old lullaby or revisit your schoolyard. Science shows nostalgia activates reward centers in the brain, but also areas linked to sadness. It is a mixed echo, joy at remembering, sorrow at distance. Childhood is never fully gone. It whispers through us every time we feel deeply. Even in love, childhood plays its part. The comfort you seek in a partner's touch, the fears that rise in closeness, the way you interpret kindness or rejection, all are shaped by echoes of early bonds. The nervous system remembers often more vividly than the conscious mind ever could. So when your emotions feel bigger than the moment, heavier than they should, pause. You might not just be feeling today, you might be hearing an echo, a memory from long ago, still alive in the quiet science of your emotional body. Why love makes the body warmer in silence? Love has many forms, but one of its most curious effects is physical warmth. Couples sitting together often have higher skin temperature. Mothers holding infants see warmth spread across both bodies. Even silent affection, a glance, a smile seems to radiate through the skin like sunlight. Science points to oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, but to us it simply feels like being held by warmth itself. When you sit close to someone you love, your blood vessels dilate, circulation improves, the body relaxes. This is measurable, yet the lived experience is far more poetic. You feel safe, seen, connected. The warmth is not just heat, it is belonging. It is the body's way of saying, here, you are not alone. This warmth even appears in absence. Reading a loving letter, thinking of someone dear, watching an old photo, the body still responds. Skin warms, breath slows, heart softens. Love transcends touch, embedding itself into the nervous system as memory that can be relit with a thought, a warmth that lingers in silence, like embers in the dark. Curiously, warmth is contagious. Studies show that people holding warm drinks describe others more kindly. Love seems to spread not only inside us but outward, shaping how we see strangers, how generous we become. Warmth is not confined. It moves like fire passed gently from hand to hand, from heart to heart. So the next time you feel love's warmth, pause and let it fill you. It is more than comfort. It is biology and poetry meeting at once. The body becomes a hearth, carrying fire not only for survival, but for connection. Love warms us because it reminds us that we were never meant to walk through life in the cold. The soft language of tears. Tears are often seen as weakness, but science tells a different story. Emotional tears contain stress hormones, literally washing them out of the body. That's why a good cry often leaves you calmer, lighter, even sleepy. Tears are not just water. They are language, spoken silently through the eyes when words cannot carry the weight. When a child cries, we understand instantly without needing translation. Tears bypass speech, telling others, I hurt, or I need comfort. Even in adults, tears carry the same meaning. A friend who sees your tears knows your truth without explanation. This is biology and empathy woven together, a universal grammar written in salt and water. Curiously, not all tears are the same. Scientists find that emotional tears differ chemically from reflex tears caused by dust or onions. Emotional tears carry endorphins, soothing the body, helping regulate pain. It is as if the body built a built-in healer inside the act of crying, a gentle design to let sorrow leave in drops. But tears are not always sadness. We cry from joy, from awe, from reunion after long separation. This paradox is striking. The same salt water that carries sorrow can carry ecstasy. The body has chosen tears as the vessel for emotions too vast to stay inside. That is not weakness, it is overflow. So the next time tears rise, do not hide them. They are your body's softest words, speaking when language fails. Tears are proof that what you feel is real, that your humanity is still tender. The soft language of tears is nothing to fear. How anger hides exhaustion underneath its fire. Anger looks powerful. Loud voice, clenched fists, fiery words. But underneath, anger often hides something quieter. Exhaustion, hurt, fear. Science shows that anger activates the sympathetic nervous system, flooding the body with energy. Yet when that energy fades, people often collapse into fatigue. Anger burns bright, but it leaves behind ashes of weariness. Think of the times you have lashed out. Afterward, your body felt drained, your muscles heavy, your mind tired. This is biology. The surge of adrenaline and cortisol can't last forever. When they leave, the body feels the hollowness beneath. Anger is rarely pure. It is a mask over softer, more fragile states. Children show this most clearly. A tantrum ends in tears, in sleep. The fire was real, but it burned over sadness, hunger, or fear. Adults are no different. The outburst at work, The sharp word to a loved one often covers an unspoken hurt. Anger becomes armor, but the body still remembers the exhaustion beneath. This doesn't make anger evil. It is protective, sometimes necessary. It warns others you've crossed a line. But healing comes when we look beneath the fire, asking what pain or fatigue it covers. To ignore that layer is to stay trapped in endless cycles of flame and ash. So when anger rises, pause, not just to control it, but to ask, what softer truth hides here? Often it is exhaustion longing for rest, sadness longing for expression, fear longing for safety. Anger is the fire, but underneath it, the body whispers of deeper needs. The slow waves of loneliness that shape our nights. Loneliness does not strike like lightning. It moves slowly, like waves against a shore. At first, it feels like silence, then like longing. Then over nights and weeks, it begins to reshape the body itself. Studies show that loneliness raises cortisol, disrupts sleep, even weakens immunity. It is not just emotion. It is biology, woven with absence. At night, loneliness feels sharper. Without distractions, the mind listens more closely to its own echoes. The room feels larger, the clock ticks louder, and the heart beats with a strange awareness of being alone. The body interprets this as a kind of danger, because for most of human history, being alone meant being vulnerable. But loneliness is not always sadness. Sometimes it is a teacher. It tells us what we value, what we miss, who matters. A quiet evening of loneliness may remind you of friendships neglected, calls unsent, bonds unspoken. In this way, loneliness is not only emptiness, it is direction. It points toward connection, gently, insistently. Curiously, people in crowded cities still feel lonely. It is not about proximity, it is about resonance. Loneliness is not solved by bodies around us, but by hearts meeting ours. The nervous system calms when someone truly listens, truly sees. Until then, loneliness whispers its waves, reshaping us quietly in the night. So if loneliness visits tonight, do not only resist. Hear its message. It is the body's way of reminding you that you were designed for connection, not isolation. The waves may feel heavy, but they are carrying you back toward the shore of belonging. Why laughter heals even when life feels heavy. Laughter is one of the body's most surprising medicines. Scientists find that laughter lowers blood pressure, strengthens immunity, releases endorphins. Yet beyond chemistry, it does something stranger. It heals even when nothing has changed outside. A sad life can still laugh, and for a moment the sadness bends under its weight. Think of times you laughed in difficult places. At a hospital bed, during stress at work, the middle of grief. The problem didn't vanish, yet the body felt lighter, muscles relaxed, oxygen flowed, the nervous system shifted. Laughter reminds the body how to breathe freely, even inside heaviness. There is also the communal side of laughter. We laugh more with others than alone. The rhythm of laughter synchronizes breathing, aligning heartbeats. This is why shared laughter feels like glue. It bonds groups, families, even strangers. For a moment, everyone inhales and exhales as one, and the heaviness becomes shared, not solitary. Interestingly, laughter often comes at unexpected times. Jokes during funerals, giggles in solemn meetings. This isn't disrespect, it's biology fighting to release tension. The body knows when weight is too much, and laughter becomes a valve, opening just enough to prevent collapse. So when laughter visits, accept it. Even in darkness, it is not denial, it is resilience. The body remembers how to heal through joy, even if just for a few breaths. That moment of relief may be the space you need to endure and to continue. The way touch becomes medicine without words. Touch is older than language. Before infants understand words, they understand the warmth of being held. Skin-to-skin contact slows heartbeats, lowers stress, even strengthens immunity. In hospitals, premature babies gain weight faster when touched. Touch is not just comfort, it is medicine written into the nervous system. Consider how a hand on your shoulder in grief speaks more than any sentence could. The body reads it instantly. You are not alone. You are safe. Oxytocin rises, muscles soften, breath deepens. No speech can match this ancient dialogue. Touch bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the body's need for connection. Even casual touches, a pat on the back, a hug, a handshake, carry signals of trust or reassurance. The skin has millions of receptors designed to translate pressure into emotional meaning. A soft touch releases calm, while absence of touch over time can lead to anxiety, even depression. The body aches not only for food and water, but for safe contact. But touch also carries memory. A hug from a lost loved one can be remembered decades later, the warmth replayed by the nervous system. This is why grief feels physical. The absence of touch leaves a hollow space the body cannot easily fill. Yet even then, safe new touches can bring healing, stitching small seams into the fabric of loss. So when words feel inadequate, let touch speak. A simple gesture, a quiet embrace, may become the medicine another soul is waiting for. The body listens closely to hands, to closeness, to warmth. Sometimes healing needs no language at all. How anticipation bends time forward. Anticipation is a strange companion. It stretches the hours, makes days feel longer, and yet keeps the mind racing toward the future. Science shows dopamine surges not when we receive a reward, but when we expect it. That's why waiting for a letter, a trip, or a loved one's return can feel almost sweeter than the moment itself. Anticipation bends time forward, drawing us into what has not yet happened. The body responds to anticipation like it's already happening. Heart rate rises, palms sweat, pupils dilate, even sleep shifts. People awaiting an event often wake earlier, restless, as though the body doesn't want to miss what's coming. Time itself feels elastic, pulled taut by the weight of expectation. Yet, anticipation can be double-edged. Waiting for something feared, a medical test, a confrontation, can stretch time painfully. Minutes drag, breaths tighten, thoughts spiral. Scientists call this affective forecasting, the mind's attempt to live tomorrow today. But the forecast is rarely accurate and often harsher than reality. In this way, anticipation can become its own storm. Still, there is a gentle beauty in looking forward. A child before their birthday, a gardener watching buds grow, a traveler counting days. Anticipation gives life direction, placing stars ahead of us to follow. The journey becomes illuminated not only by where we are, but where we hope to go. So when you find yourself caught in the long pull of waiting, notice the bend in time. Notice how the body already steps into the future. Anticipation is not just waiting, it is a rehearsal of living, a quiet science of stretching today toward tomorrow. The strange comfort of nostalgia. Nostalgia is a peculiar ache, part sweetness, part sorrow. A scent, a song, a photograph can transport us across years in our heartbeat. Science shows that nostalgia activates both the reward system and memory centers of the brain. It softens loneliness, improves mood, even strengthens identity. Nostalgia is the body's way of saying, you are not only who you are today, but also every version you've ever been. When you remember a childhood toy or a long-gone friend, the brain floods with dopamine and oxytocin, as if hugging an invisible past. The heart warms, even while the eyes sting with longing. This paradox, joy and sadness together, is what makes nostalgia so powerful. It allows us to hold two worlds at once. But nostalgia is not only personal. Entire cultures share it. Old songs that unite generations, traditional foods that taste of home, rituals repeated across centuries. These collective memories comfort groups the way individual nostalgia comforts the soul. They whisper, "We belong, we continue, we carry forward." Curiously, nostalgia often visits in times of stress. Students away from home, elders facing illness, migrants far from birthplace. The body summons memory as medicine, soothing the present with gentle echoes of yesterday. It is not denial. It is resilience dressed as memory. So when nostalgia rises, let it. Let the ache warm you as much as it stings. It is proof that your past still breathes inside you, shaping your present with quiet comfort. Nostalgia is not about going back. It is about carrying the tenderness of what was into what still is. Why guilt lingers longer than any storm. Guilt is one of the stickiest emotions. Long after fear fades, after anger cools, guilt remains like a shadow. Science finds that guilt activates areas of the brain tied to self-reflection, making it replay endlessly. Unlike other emotions, guilt is not about what is happening, but what has happened. And the mind struggles to let go. The body also feels guilt. Shoulders hunch, stomach knots, sleep breaks. It is as though the body is punishing itself for past mistakes. Unlike fear or sadness, which can be shared and soothed, guilt often hides in silence, making it even heavier. We imprison ourselves in memory, rehearsing a trial that never ends. Yet guilt has a hidden purpose. It signals our values. We only feel guilty because we care, because something in us longs to be better. Animals may feel fear, but guilt is uniquely human, tied to conscience and empathy. It reminds us that we are not just surviving beings, but moral ones capable of responsibility. The danger comes when guilt turns to shame, when it no longer points to action, but to self-condemnation. This is when guilt lingers too long, becoming illness rather than guide. Forgiveness, whether from others or from within, becomes the release valve, allowing the storm to finally pass. So when guilt rises, listen for its message. What does it reveal about your values, your love, your longing to do right? Once its message is heard, you can let it move on. Guilt lingers, yes, but even the longest storms eventually lose their power, the heartbeat that changes when someone listens. There is a quiet miracle in being truly heard. Studies show that when someone listens with presence, the speaker's heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and stress hormones decline. Listening is not just social courtesy, it is medicine. The body literally calms when another human gives attention without interruption. Think of confiding in a friend who doesn't rush to advise, but simply sits, eyes steady, nodding softly. The breath evens, the chest loosens. Scientists call this co-regulation, the nervous systems of two people syncing, like instruments tuning to each other. Listening becomes more than sound, it becomes harmony of bodies. The opposite is true as well. When ignored, dismissed, or cut short, the body reacts with spikes of cortisol, tightening muscles, racing thoughts. This is why loneliness feels sharper in conversation, where one is unseen, than in silence alone. Listening is not about words, it is about presence, and the body knows the difference. Curiously, even strangers can offer this gift. A kind nurse, a gentle teacher, a chance encounter where someone truly listens. These moments stay long after, replayed in the body as warmth, as safety. The heartbeat remembers when it was steadied by another's care. So when you find someone pouring words or even silences toward you, listen. Not to solve, not to rush, but to lend your steadying heartbeat. In that moment, you become medicine, and the science of emotions becomes an act of shared humanity. how forgiveness rewires the nervous system. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as forgetting, but science shows it is far more. It rewires the nervous system. People who forgive show reduced stress, lower blood pressure, even improved immunity. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the body's way of releasing poison, freeing itself from cycles of stress that unforgiven pain creates. The brain, when clinging to resentment, keeps reactivating the amygdala, the fear center. Each replay feels like reliving the harm. But when forgiveness is chosen, neural pathways shift, strengthening areas tied to empathy and calm. Forgiveness changes not just thoughts, but physical circuits inside us. Yet forgiveness is not instant. It often begins with resistance, with anger, with the need to hold on to justice. And that is natural. The wound is real. But over time, the body reveals the cost of holding on: fatigue, sleeplessness, bitterness. Forgiveness becomes less about the other person, more about reclaiming peace within us. Curiously, self-forgiveness may be the hardest. The nervous system does not easily release its own guilt, but the same rewiring applies, slowly, gently, with compassion. To forgive oneself is to free the body from endless trials, to open space for new rhythms of calm and healing. So forgiveness is not just moral or spiritual, it is scientific, biological, transformative. To forgive is to untie knots in the nervous system, to open windows for light to return. It does not erase the past, but it rewrites the future of the body that carries it, the silent tug-of-war between logic and emotion. Inside us, two currents are always flowing: logic and emotion. One speaks in numbers, the other in whispers of the heart. Neuroscience shows that decisions are rarely made by logic alone. The emotional brain, the limbic system, lights up first. Logic may refine or argue, but emotion often casts the first vote. Think of choosing a home, a partner, even a job. Spreadsheets may say one thing, but a gut feeling says another. And often the gut wins. Logic is careful, but emotion is fast. It can weigh thousands of subtle signals in a blink. The tug-of-war is not weakness. It is the design of human choice. Curiously, when emotions are damaged, as in certain brain injuries, people lose not just feeling, but the ability to decide at all. They analyze endlessly, but cannot choose. This reveals a truth. Logic without emotion is paralyzed. We need both currents, one for clarity, one for direction. In daily life, this battle is constant. The heart leans toward love, the mind lists risks. The mind seeks safety, the heart longs for adventure. The body listens to both, and in the end, what we call instinct is often the blend of logic and emotion merging into one quiet voice. So when you feel torn, don't see it as failure. See it as dialogue within yourself. Logic and emotion are not enemies, but partners in tension, pulling you toward balance. The tug-of-war is simply the way life makes us whole. Why shame hides in the shadows of the face. Shame is one of the most physical emotions. It burns cheeks, lowers eyes, stiffens the neck. Even without words, shame announces itself in posture and silence. Scientists note that shame activates the same brain regions as physical pain, which is why it feels unbearable at times. Shame is a wound felt in the face itself. Unlike guilt, which says, "I did something wrong," shame whispers, "I am something wrong." This difference makes it heavier. And because it feels like exposure, people instinctively hide their faces, covering with hands, bowing heads. Shame teaches the body to shrink, to vanish from sight. But shame is not only personal. Cultures use it as discipline, weaving it into traditions, family codes, even religions. A child grows knowing which acts bring honor, which bring shame. It becomes an invisible leash, steering behavior long after childhood. The body remembers those lessons in every blush, every lowered glance, yet shame too has a purpose. It signals the need for repair, for belonging restored. When softened with compassion, shame can transform into accountability, humility, even growth. But when left in shadows, unspoken, it festers, feeding self-loathing that can haunt for years. So when shame visits, do not only hide. Ask what it points toward. Often, the shadow it casts is the doorway to healing, if walked with gentleness, not cruelty. Shame is not meant to bury you, but to remind you of your longing to stand in the light again. The quiet storm of anxiety in the stomach. Anxiety is often described as thoughts racing, but the body feels it first. The stomach churns, appetite vanishes, a hollow ache appears beneath the ribs. This is because the gut is wired with its own second brain, or the enteric nervous system. Anxiety storms there long before the mind names it. Butterflies before a performance, nausea before bad news, tightness before travel. These are the stomach's way of holding emotion. Scientists find that 95% of serotonin, the mood chemical, lives in the gut. No wonder worry feels like sickness. The gut is not separate from the mind. It is part of it. Anxiety has its rhythm: shallow breath, restless sleep, clenched jaw. The body braces as though danger is near, even when none is present. This is the paradox. Anxiety is the body's fire alarm, ringing even when the house is safe. To live with it is to live with false storms. But storms pass. Breathing deep, grounding the senses, moving the body, these calm the gut, which then calms the mind. Ancient practices like meditation understood this long before science confirmed it. To soothe the stomach is to soothe the storm. So when anxiety grips your middle, remember, it is not betrayal but overprotection. Your body is trying too hard to keep you safe. Thank it gently, breathe deeply, and remind it that not every storm needs shelter. How courage begins with trembling hands. Courage is often mistaken for fearlessness. But true courage begins with trembling hands, with voices shaking, with knees unsteady. Scientists find that adrenaline floods the body before any brave act. Fear and courage share the same root. The body prepares for both in almost identical ways. The difference is choice. Consider the soldier stepping forward, the patient entering surgery, the child standing on stage. Their bodies tremble, their hearts race. Courage is not the absence of this while it is stepping forward despite it. The trembling itself becomes proof that courage is alive in the veins. Curiously, small acts of courage train the body. Each time you speak a truth, defend a friend, or take a risk, the nervous system learns resilience. Over time, the tremors lessen. Courage becomes a muscle, not a miracle. But it always begins shaky, like the first step of a child learning to walk. Even animals show this pattern. A bird leaping from the nest trembles in its own way. Nature has wired courage as a universal threshold, the trembling before flight. Without it, no species would grow, no life would change. Trembling is the birth cry of transformation. So when your hands shake in fear, do not scold them. See them as the first notes of courage beginning to play. Every great act once began with trembling hands. The strange stillness of awe under the stars. Awe is one of the rare emotions that silences both mind and body. Standing beneath vast mountains or endless stars, words fall away, even thoughts pause. Science shows awe lowers activity in the brain's default mode network, the part that constantly narrates the self. In awe, the self dissolves into something larger. The body responds with stillness. Heart rate slows, breath steadies, eyes widen. Unlike fear, which tenses or relaxes. It is surrender, not defense. People report feeling smaller yet more connected, humbled yet uplifted. Awe is paradox. Weakness and strength woven together in a single gaze upward. Curiously, awe improves kindness. Studies find people who experience awe become more generous, more patient. Perhaps because awe shrinks the ego, reminding us we are part of something vast. Under the stars, pride softens, quarrels feel smaller, and compassion grows like grass after rain. Awe can arrive anywhere, not just in nature. In music that swells, in art that stuns, in the birth of a child, in the silence of a cathedral. Wherever it appears, it leaves the same stillness, the same widening of the soul. Awe is universal medicine for restless hearts. So tonight, if you look at the stars, let them still you. Let awe wrap around your body like quiet night air. It may not give answers, but it will give perspective. And sometimes that is the deeper healing. Why relief feels like melting. Relief is unlike other emotions. When it comes, the body doesn't rise or tense. It melts. Muscles release, shoulders drop, breath deepens. Science shows this is the parasympathetic nervous system turning on, the body switching from alert to rest. Relief is the exhale after danger passes, the loosening after long holding. Think of finishing an exam, hearing good medical news, or simply finding lost keys. The weight that seemed unbearable a moment ago slides away. This melting sensation is more than poetry. It is chemistry, as cortisol levels drop and oxytocin rises, signaling safety has returned. But relief often carries surprise. Sometimes we don't realize how tightly we've been holding until the letting go arrives. The body keeps tension quietly, hidden in jaw, back, stomach. Only when relief floods in do we feel how much we were carrying. The melt becomes revelation. We were heavier than we knew. Curiously, even imagined safety brings relief. A calming thought, a gentle hug, a whispered reassurance can melt tension as much as real solutions. The nervous system listens not just to facts, but to feelings of safety. This is why words of comfort can feel like medicine on the body. So when relief comes, let it wash fully through you. Notice the melting, the surrender, the quiet joy of being lighter. Relief reminds us that tension never has to be forever. The body knows how to let go once it feels safe. The hidden wisdom inside jealousy. Jealousy is often feared, dismissed as ugly. But beneath its sharpness lies wisdom. Jealousy points toward what we value, what we fear losing, what we long for. Scientists call it a social emotion, wired to protect bonds and reveal priorities. It may feel like poison, but hidden within is a compass. When a friend succeeds and jealousy stirs, it shows what matters to you. When a partner's closeness with another sparks unease, it shows what you treasure. Without jealousy, we would drift aimlessly, unaware of where our deepest attachments lie. The discomfort is painful, but the message is honest. Of course, jealousy can distort. Left unchecked, it leads to obsession, mistrust, harm. But listened to gently, it becomes a teacher. Why do I feel this? What do I fear losing? What do I truly want? These questions transform jealousy from enemy into guide. The sharpness softens into clarity. Curiously, jealousy is tied not just to fear, but to imagination. We imagine futures lost, relationships broken, selves diminished. The body reacts as if those imagined losses were real. This is the trick of jealousy. It rehearses grief before it even happens. Awareness is the way out. Remembering imagination is not fact. So when jealousy rises, pause. Instead of drowning in its bitterness, read its wisdom. It may be pointing to dreams unspoken, desires unacknowledged, loves worth protecting. Jealousy is not only shadow, but is a light shining on what your heart holds dear. How compassion softens the body. Compassion is not only kindness toward others, it is also medicine for ourselves. When we feel compassion, oxytocin rises, cortisol falls, muscles relax. The body softens literally. Science shows that caregivers who practice compassion age more slowly, heal faster, even live longer. Compassion is not just emotion. It is biology choosing gentleness. Think of placing your hand on your chest when upset, or offering a kind word to a friend. Both acts lower the body's alarm systems. Compassion is permission. To stop fighting, to release judgment, to allow tenderness. This softening is the nervous system's way of saying, "You are safe here." Curiously, compassion flows outward and inward together. Studies show self-compassion has similar effects to compassion for others. When we forgive ourselves, breathe kindly toward our own flaws, the body responds with the same warmth. It is as though the body cannot tell whether the kindness is inward or outward. It simply heals. Compassion is also contagious. Watching someone show care activates mirror neurons, making us feel warmth even as observers. This is why stories of kindness bring tears, why strangers' goodness can comfort us. Compassion multiplies, moving silently from one body to another, like ripples on a pond. So if you feel hardened, tense, brittle, let compassion soften you. Toward yourself, toward others, even toward the world. The body listens closely to kindness, and in its presence, everything becomes more breathable, more human. The secret timing of emotional cycles. Emotions do not arrive randomly, they cycle like seasons, like tides. Science shows that hormones, circadian rhythms, even lunar phases influence our moods. Morning joy, afternoon irritability, evening calm, these are not accidents. The body moves through emotional cycles, each with its own rhythm. Think of how sadness often deepens at night when the world is quiet, or how laughter bursts more easily in daylight when energy is higher. Emotional patterns echo through days and weeks, influenced by sleep, food, connection, and even hidden biological clocks. The timing is not chaos, it is choreography. Curiously, many traditions intuited this. Ancient cultures tied emotions to moon cycles, to seasons, to tides. While modern science measures cortisol and melatonin, older wisdom simply noticed human hearts have calendars of their own. We swing and return, ebb and rise, like nature itself. Recognizing these cycles brings peace. Instead of judging sadness as failure, we can see it as a passing season. Instead of clinging to joy desperately, we can savor it as summer sun, knowing it will return. The timing becomes less about control, more about trust. So when moods shift, remember, you are not broken. You are moving with the tides of biology, the seasons of emotion. The secret is not to fight the cycle, but to walk with it, gently, patiently. Why music speaks to feelings faster than words. Music reaches emotions faster than language ever can. Within milliseconds, rhythms synchronize with heartbeat, melodies stir dopamine, harmonies awaken memory. Before a lyric is even understood, the body is already moved. This is why music feels like a shortcut to the soul. Think of a song that makes you cry instantly, without reason. The notes themselves bypass logic, touching the limbic system directly. This is biology, vibrations entering the ear, traveling to the brain, stirring chemicals. But to us, it feels like magic, as though music speaks in a language older than speech. Curiously, even infants sway to rhythm before they understand words. Music is hardwired, not learned. It comforts premature babies, steadies Alzheimer's patients, even synchronizes groups marching, dancing, worshipping. Music is the emotional glue of humanity, binding us together in invisible threads. And music holds memory. A tune from childhood can awaken emotions long buried. A love song can reignite warmth decades later. The body remembers through music what the mind forgets. In this way, music is not only art, it is archive, holding the emotional history of our lives. So when music moves you deeply, let it. It is not illusion. It is science and soul entwined. Music reminds us that feelings are not trapped inside, but shared across air, across bodies, across time. No wonder it heals where words cannot. The quiet mirror of empathy. Empathy is often silent. It is not the loud declaration, but the quiet mirror. The way your heart shifts when you feel another's pain or joy. Science shows mirror neurons in the brain light up when we see someone suffer or smile. The body reacts as though it were our own experience. Empathy is not imagination. It is biology reflecting life back at us. Think of watching a friend cry. Without effort, your throat tightens, your eyes water. Or watching a stranger laugh uncontrollably, suddenly you're smiling too. This mirroring is the nervous system's way of binding us together, reminding us that feelings are not locked in single bodies, but shared across them. Curiously, empathy deepens in quiet. When we set aside judgment, phones, interruptions, and simply look into another's eyes, the body aligns more fully. Heart rates sync, breathing patterns echo. This is why deep conversations feel physically calming. Empathy is creating harmony beneath words. But empathy has weight. Too much exposure to suffering without balance can lead to exhaustion, even burnout. The body cannot endlessly mirror pain without rest. This is why compassion, empathy with boundaries, becomes essential. It allows the mirror to reflect without shattering. So when you feel another's emotions inside you, know that it is not weakness, but proof of connection. Empathy is the quiet mirror, showing us that humanity was never meant to be lived alone. How emotions move like weather through the mind. Emotions are often mistaken for permanent states, but science reveals they move like weather, arriving, shifting, passing. Fear is a storm cloud, joy a burst of sun, sadness a steady rain. No feeling is forever, though in its moment it feels endless. The body, like the sky, is built for change. Think of mornings heavy with gloom that dissolve by afternoon, or a sudden laugh in grief that clears the chest for a moment. These shifts happen without warning, like breezes turning. The amygdala, the hippocampus, the entire nervous system cycles moods in waves we cannot fully control. Curiously, people who accept this weather suffer less. Resisting sadness prolongs it, fighting fear strengthens it. But noticing, here is a storm, allows it to pass more swiftly. Acceptance is like opening a window. The weather moves through instead of suffocating the room. Cultures have long spoken of this. Poets describe joy and sorrow as twin visitors. Philosophers remind us that no storm has ever lasted forever. Science now echoes the same truth. The brain's chemistry shifts constantly, emotions rise and fall like tides, and the sun always returns. So when you feel caught in emotional weather, remember, you are the sky, not the storm. The clouds move, but the vastness of who you are remains. The slow work of grief shaping the soul. Grief does not end, it reshapes. Science shows grief changes the brain's memory and emotion circuits for years, sometimes forever. It slows thought, bends time, alters sleep. But slowly, almost invisibly, grief begins to weave itself into the soul, shaping it like water carving stone. We do not move on, we move with it. In early grief, the body is stunned. Appetite fades, energy collapses, chest tightens. It feels like illness because it is. Stress chemicals flood the body as it mourns. But as time passes, grief changes texture. It becomes quieter, less jagged, yet still present, like a scar that aches in weather shifts. Curiously, grief often deepens empathy. Those who have lost love often comfort others more gently. The nervous system, once fractured, learns to bend softer toward others' pain. In this way, grief expands the heart even while breaking it. Science finds grieving people often become more compassionate, more patient, more deeply human. But grief also brings surprising joy. Memories that once burned with loss later glow with warmth. A song once unbearable becomes a treasure. This shift doesn't erase sorrow but adds layers of gratitude. Grief teaches that love is stronger than absence, that bonds endure beyond time itself. So when grief feels endless, trust its slow work. It is not destroying you. It is reshaping you into someone who carries love differently, but still carries it. Grief is the quiet sculptor of the human soul. Why pride can both protect and wound us. Pride is paradox. On one hand, it shields dignity, making us stand tall, push forward, defend our worth. On the other, it can isolate us, keeping us from admitting need or accepting help. Science shows pride activates reward centers in the brain, giving strength, but when inflated, it engages stress circuits, turning protection into prison. Think of the pride in accomplishment, finishing a project, raising a child, surviving hardship. The chest swells, posture lifts. This pride is healthy, anchoring identity. It reminds the body, I am capable, I matter. Without it, self-worth withers. But pride can also harden. When we refuse to apologize, when we shut doors to avoid vulnerability, pride shifts from shield to wall. Relationships strain, loneliness deepens. The nervous system stays alert, armored, unable to soften. What once protected begins to wound. Curiously, pride has cultural sides too. In some places, pride is celebrated as honor. In others, warned against as arrogance. The body interprets both. Healthy pride releases dopamine, fueling motivation. Toxic pride elevates cortisol, breeding defensiveness and tension. The difference lies not in pride itself, but in balance. So pride is not the enemy. It is a tool. Used gently, it builds strength. Held too tightly, it bruises. The art is learning when to stand tall or when to bow softly. And the pull of curiosity on the heart. Curiosity is not just thought, it is emotion. The body leans forward, eyes widen, heart quickens. Scientists see dopamine spikes not at answers, but at questions. Curiosity is the pull of the unknown, tugging at the heart with promise of discovery. It is both excitement and restlessness, guiding us toward growth. Think of a child touching everything, asking endlessly, why? Their bodies vibrate with eagerness, brains lit with exploration. Adults carry the same spark, though quieter. We feel it in the urge to travel, to learn, to read, to peek behind closed doors. Curiosity is the pulse of evolution inside us. Curiously, curiosity lowers fear. Studies show people facing uncertainty with curiosity experience less stress. The unknown becomes adventure rather than threat. The nervous system shifts from defense to openness, from tension to readiness. Curiosity doesn't erase risk, but it transforms the body's response to it. And curiosity feeds joy. Discovering something new lights up reward pathways, leaving us energized. This is why hobbies restore us, why art, science, stories, and mysteries thrill. The body was built not just to survive, but to wonder. Without curiosity, the soul starves. So when curiosity tugs at you, follow gently. It is not distraction, but invitation. The heart pulls toward mystery because growth waits there. Curiosity is not just learning, it is living more fully. How surprise rewrites the present moment. Surprise is the emotion of interruption. It halts the ordinary, bends time, and rewrites the present in a single flash. Scientists find surprise activates the brain's orienting response. Pupils widen, breath catches, heart jumps. For a moment, the body forgets past and future and lives fully in the now. Surprise is presence disguised as shock. Think of unexpected laughter or an unplanned reunion. The ordinary becomes extraordinary in a heartbeat. The body surges with dopamine, preparing for learning, memory, action. This is why surprising events are remembered so vividly. The brain marks them as important, ensuring they stay etched within us. But surprise is not only joy, it can be shock, fear, even sorrow. Yet the same principle applies. Surprise forces awareness. Whether delightful or painful, it wakes us up, shakes the dust from our senses. In surprise, life insists, pay attention, this moment matters. Curiously, small surprises can restore vitality. A new path walked home, an unexpected kindness, a sudden joke. These jolt the nervous system out of routine, refreshing the weary circuits of the mind. Surprise is the brain's reset button, gently sparking curiosity again. So when surprise visits, don't only cling to comfort. Let it rewrite the present, stretch your senses, and remind you that life still has mysteries waiting at every corner. The shared heartbeat of belonging. Belonging is more than emotion, it is biology. Studies show that people who feel they belong have steadier heart rates, lower stress, stronger immunity. Loneliness harms the body, but belonging heals it. The heartbeat changes when we are seen, accepted, included. To belong is to have our nervous system rest in rhythm with others. Think of sitting around a fire, sharing food, or singing together. The body softens, breath slows, laughter rises. Group rituals align brainwaves and even synchronize heartbeats. Belonging is not abstract. It is physical harmony, bodies moving as one in safety. Curiously, belonging doesn't always come from numbers. A crowd can feel isolating, while a single friend can give deep belonging. It isn't about how many people are near, but how deeply one is connected. The nervous system knows when presence is real. Belonging also shapes identity. Children who grow up feeling included develop stronger confidence. Adults who join communities find resilience against stress. Even simple acts. It's being greeted by name, being remembered. Tell the body, you matter here. And the heart steadies in response. So when you feel belonging, notice its quiet rhythm. It is more than comfort. It is your body healing in connection, reminding you that we were never meant to walk alone. Why betrayal aches deeper than broken bones. Betrayal is one of the sharpest pains a human can feel. Neuroscience shows the same brain regions activated in physical pain flare during betrayal. That is why heartbreak and deceit feel like wounds. The body reacts with nausea, tight chest, sleeplessness, as though a fracture had occurred inside. Betrayal is not metaphor, it is injury. The reason it cuts so deep is trust. We build bonds, let others close, lower defenses. Betrayal violates that intimacy, making the body feel exposed and unsafe. The amygdala stays hyperactive, replaying the memory, searching for signs of danger. The wound lingers long after the moment. Curiously, betrayal also reshapes memory. People recall betrayals more vividly than almost any other experience, as if the body insists, never forget. This is survival logic and to prevent repeated harm, but it also explains why betrayal haunts, looping through nights, echoing in silence. Yet even here, the body can heal. Studies show forgiveness and rebuilding trust, even if not with the same person, rewires the nervous system. The ache fades as safety is rediscovered elsewhere. The scar remains, but the sharpness lessens. turning pain into wisdom. So when betrayal stings, know the depth of the ache is not weakness. It is proof of how deeply you loved, how open you were. Healing comes slowly, but it comes, and in its wake, the soul grows both tender and strong. The rare silence of contentment. Contentment is quieter than joy, softer than excitement. It does not rush or explode, it rests. Science shows contentment activates brain regions linked to stability rather than reward. Heart rate steadies, muscles relax, the nervous system hums like a low song. Contentment is the body saying, "This is enough." Think of a calm evening, a meal enjoyed without hurry, a walk with someone you love. There is no drama, no peak, yet the body feels balanced, the mind unhurried. In contentment, time loses urgency and the self feels gently complete. Curiously, contentment is often overlooked. We chase highs, dramatic joys, thinking they are the measure of happiness. But studies reveal that people who value contentment live longer, healthier lives. Excitement fades quickly. Contentment lingers like a steady fire that warms without burning out. And contentment doesn't require perfection. Life may still hold problems, uncertainties, grief. But in moments of contentment, the body pauses its alarms, choosing peace in the midst of imperfection. It is a reminder that happiness is not only at the destination, but along the way. So when you find yourself quietly at ease, honor it. Contentment may not shout, but it sustains. In its rare silence lies one of the most profound forms of emotional health. How resilience is born from emotional storms. Resilience is not toughness. It is flexibility. It is the ability to bend without breaking, to recover after storms. Science shows resilient people have lower stress hormones, faster immune recovery, and stronger neural pathways for optimism. But resilience is not inherited fully. It is built through surviving emotional weather. Think of grief survived, fears faced, heartbreak endured. Each time, the body learns. Neural circuits adjust, coping strategies strengthen. Resilience is like muscle. It grows when challenged. The storm hurts, but it also trains the nervous system to rebound faster next time. Curiously, resilience often emerges unnoticed. In the middle of pain, we feel weak. Only afterward, looking back, do we realize we endured more than expected. The body had resources hidden until tested. Resilience is revealed, not predicted, and resilience is strengthened in community. People with strong social ties recover faster from trauma, illness, stress. Connection provides co-regulation, shared strength. Alone, storms feel overwhelming. Together, resilience grows like roots intertwining beneath soil, keeping the tree upright through winds. So when storms arrive, remember, they are not only breaking you, they are shaping you. Resilience is not the absence of scars, but the quiet strength born from them. The body knows how to heal, again and again.